The Liverpool City Council meeting for the 27th of September 2023 officially open and welcome you all here today. I'd like to remind everyone that in accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice, today's Council meeting is being live streamed, except for the public forum section, of which there are no speakers anyway. To start off today's proceedings, we will have the prayer of council and the acknowledgement of country read by Pastor Steve Rethmuller from the Cartwright Gospel Chapel. If I can, Pastor, thank you very much for joining us today. Could I please invite you, and could I invite everyone to please stand?
I'll first read the acknowledgement of country. Before we begin proceedings, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and their ancestors past and present. The Cabrogool clan of the Darug Nation. I also acknowledge that this land was accessed by peoples of the Dhurawal and Darug nations. I'll now read also the affirmation of council. We affirm our hope and dedication to the good government of our city and the well-being of all of Liverpool's residents, no matter their race or creed. Today, we affirm our hope for sound decision-making by council, which will improve the quality of life in our city. We express our expectations and best wishes for Australia, our nation's future, the Mayor, councillors and staff of council, and all those associated with good government in Liverpool. I've also been asked to just briefly pray, so I will briefly pray. Heavenly Father, I acknowledge that you are the only true and living God, and I acknowledge that Jesus, your eternal Son, is man's and women's only Saviour. I thank you for being the saviour of a sinner like me. Lord, I just ask that you will guide the meeting today. I pray that it will be a blessing for the residents and the citizens of Liverpool. I just pray also, Lord, for your blessing upon the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, the councillors and their families, and also all the senior executive team and others who make this council work effectively. So, Lord, I just ask for your wisdom today and pray that decisions might be sound and well balanced, and all being done for the good of the citizens of this city and the surrounds. And I ask this in the strong and mighty name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, all beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains that let us sing, advance Australia fair. Beneath the radiant Southern Cross, we'll toil with hearts and hands to make this commonwealth of ours renowned of all the lands. For those who've come across the seas, we've boundless plains to share. With courage let us all combine to advance Australia fair. In joyful strains that let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. And thank you very much, Pastor, for your kind words and well wishes for us all. We have two councillors who are attending remotely, Councillor Haggerty and Councillor Carneeb. I'd like to move that they be allowed to attend remotely. Seconded, Councillor McNaught. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. We have no apologies and we have no condolences. The next is the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting of the 30th of August. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Rhodes, seconded Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Declarations of interest.
Yes, Mayor. I would like to declare an interest in COM02. Through my work as a councillor, I've had interactions with a couple of the organisations named. It's non-significant, non-pecuniary, so I'll stay in the room.
Thank you.
Mr Mayor, I have a conflict in Conf02. It's non-pecuniary, less than significant. I am aware that some of the people named in that report may be members of the Liberal Party, as am I, but I'll stay in the room.
Yeah. Any further? Oh, Nathan, Councillor Haggerty?
Yeah, so COM02, I was previously chair of one of the organisations, and COMP02, I know some of
Sorry,
the...
can you try to speak a bit more closer into your mic? It's a bit...
Okay, I got the earbuds in, so maybe that's the issue.
Or maybe just speak a bit louder, if you don't mind.
Okay. COM02 and
That's much better.
COMP02. So both of those non-significant, non-pecuniary, and I'll stay in the room.
Wonderful. Can you please make sure you've emailed us through to the staff, the filled out forms, please? Okay. Lovely. Councillors, I would like to move that we bring up Corp 01, the election of Deputy Mayor, forward and deal with that matter first, please. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Moon. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. So, let's go to Corp Board. Would somebody like to move a motion?
I'll start it off for you, Mr Mayor. That I think that we should determine it from a show of hands, considering we have two councillors that are online. And also, I don't think that a alternate deputy mayor is necessary, as we've got several other councillors who are available for that position without it being elected specifically. So we've got numbers of people who are willing to serve, to help whenever there is a need.
Right. So you move that way. Do you have a seconder? Second, Councillor Moon. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declared. I'll now pass over to our returning officer, the CEO, who will conduct the election for Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So for confirmation...
Can I ask councillors to turn off the microphones, please, if they're not speaking?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, councillors. So to confirm that the recommendations 1 and 3 of the paper have now been moved and approved by council. So the recommendations 2 and 4 are no longer applicable. And I also note that it is council has resolved that the method of voting for the election of Deputy Mayor is by way of show of hands, because 2 councillors are not present. Councillors, I've received 2 nominations. The first nomination is for Councillor Fiona McNaught, and the second nomination is for Councillor Betty Green. As there will be a vote by way of show of hands, what I propose is I will indicate which councillor is being voted on. That vote will be undertaken. Then I will move to the second councillor, and that vote will be undertaken, and the councillor with the largest number of votes will be the councillor that is successful. The 2 councillors online, you would need to raise your hands at the appropriate time, please, so that can be noted. So, firstly, I'll do it in the order nominations were received. So I will do it firstly in relation to Councillor Betty Green. Councillors, all in favour of Councillor Betty Green being the Deputy Mayor, please raise your hands. 3, 4, 5. I note that I have 5 votes for Councillor Green. I will now move, councillors, all in favour of Councillor McNaught being the Deputy Mayor, please raise your hands. I have 6 votes for Councillor McNaught. On that basis, Councillor McNaught is elected as the Deputy Mayor.
Congratulations on your election. I didn't recognise her. Oh, careful. Oh, who's that item? Okay. Okay. Are we coming back? Thank you. Councillors, that concludes item Corp 01, election of Deputy Mayor, and I will now hand back to the Mayor. Thank you, Mr. CEO, and congratulations once again, Councillor McNaught, on your election to Deputy Mayor. And I want to take this opportunity to wish you all the very best in your role over the next 12 months. And also want to pay homage and congratulate our outgoing Deputy Mayor, Councillor Hadid, who has been a long-time servant of this council and in the role of Deputy Mayor many times. So thank you for all your assistance and your wisdom and wise advice, which I'm sure you'll be happy to offer up regardless if you're Deputy Mayor or not. So thank you. Councillors, we'll now go back into the normal order of the agenda. Next item is the mayoral minutes, of which there are 4. The first one is regarding congratulating Skinny Hussein on his induction to the Australian Boxing Hall of Fame. I'm excited to congratulate Liverpool's very own Nidal Skinny Hussein on his recent induction into the Australian Boxing Hall of Fame. Skinny's illustrious career was filled with unforgettable moments in the ring. His versatility and skill saw him secure numerous Australian, Asia Pacific, and world titles in multiple weight divisions. Famously, Skinny was cheated of a victory over the legendary Manny Pacquiao, with the referee of that controversial bout recently coming out and admitting to his corrupt behavior. Nidal Skinny Hussein's journey in boxing serves as an inspiration to all aspiring athletes in our nation. Since retiring as a fighter, Skinny has given back to the sport and back to the community by running his gym, the Body Punch Gym in Prestons. His dedication to the sport, exceptional skill, and sportsmanship have earned him a well-deserved place in the Australian Boxing Hall of Fame. On behalf of Liverpool City Council, I extend our heartfelt congratulations to Nidal Skinny Hussein for this prestigious accolade. May his legacy continue to inspire future generations of boxers, and may he enjoy continued success in all his endeavors. And I'd like to move that council congratulate Nidal Skinny Hussein on his recent induction to the Australian Boxing Hall of Fame and recognise his enduring contribution to the community of Liverpool as a respected role model and boxing coach through his work at Body Punch Gym and Prestons.
Mayor, I have a suggestion. Can we add a point 3 that we forward Nidal Skinny Hussein as a candidate for the Australia Day Awards in the sporting category?
Yep, happy to add that. Lovely, thank you. Thank you, good suggestion. Any further comments or discussion? No? And I just would like to clarify one point in there which may have not been emphasized. So Manny Pacquiao, who was the world champion many times, Skinny did beat him, and the referee did admit to numerous things in the fight, that holding out the long 10 count, and other things which led to a TKO against Skinny Hussein. But we almost had someone who, we did have someone the person who turned out to be the world champion. Probably the biggest injustice in Australian sporting history. So I'd now like to put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. The next mayoral minute is congratulating Meomana Safaoto Shwenki from the Matavai Liverpool Pacific Cultural Arts Centre. Congratulations to Meomana Safaoto Shwenki on being crowned Miss Samoa 2023-24. Moamano's Miss Samoa title comes after 26 years after her mother, the brilliant Mary Jane, won the same crown. Many of us know Mary Jane through her work at Matavai Liverpool's Pacific Cultural Arts Centre. Matavai's Liverpool Pacific Cultural Arts Centre at Linear Community Hall has been instrumental in nurturing and promoting the cultural heritage of our Samoan community. The centre has become the beating heart of Samoan culture in Australia and Islander culture, a legacy that we fought tirelessly to establish in Liverpool in one of our buildings. I wish to extend my heartfelt congratulations to everyone involved in providing a home for Matavai Liverpool Pacific Cultural Arts Centre. Your support has enabled the Samoan community to thrive and strengthen our identity as Australia's multicultural capital. Finally, on behalf of Liverpool City Council, I would like to wish Moana all the very best as she goes on to participate in the Miss Pacific Island pageant. And I'd like to move that council congratulate Moamanu Safaeatu Shwenki on being crowned Miss Samoa in 2023-24 and recognise and thanks Matavai for their contribution to Liverpool through their work at the Linear Community Hall. Councillor Rhodes. Can you turn on your microphone, please?
Very, very happy to second this motion as well as the rest of the councillors. I think the contribution that Matavai can make to Liverpool Council is quite significant, and this crowning glory for Momona is just something that's like seeing history repeat itself, and I wish Momona all the best, and I thank Matavai for what they do for the Liverpool community, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. The next one is Pyrotechnics Diwali Mela event. Diwali is a memorable event, rife with traditional ceremonies, brilliant dance performance, and of course the incredible Indian food. I encourage councillors to support our local Hindu community by supporting this mayoral minute. The symbolism of fireworks Diwali is tied to the very essence of Diwali is about. Fireworks Diwali signify the victory of light over darkness, of knowledge over ignorance, and good over evil. I move that Council organise the pyrotechnics event for the Ram Krishna Temple's Diwali Mela to the value of $10,000. And I'd like to move that Council organises the pyrotechnics and fireworks for the Ram Krishna Temple's Diwali Mela event to the value of $10,000 and wishes the entire community a happy Diwali.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, thank you.
I would like to suggest an addition, if possible.
Yes, Councillor.
I know that the temple for a while now has been trying to work with council to determine whether or not they can keep animals that are sacred to the Hindu community on the site of the temple. So I would like to suggest a point 3 that council work with the temple to investigate the practicability of keeping sacred animals on site.
Maybe to take that on notice, it doesn't need to be part of the motion. Councillor, I'm happy to take that part on notice and come back to you. I don't believe it needs to be part of the motion because the motion needs to be sort of at a conclusion. Let me do the investigation. Let me take it on notice, come directly back to you. I'll get the director to look at it as well, and we'll come back to you. I don't believe you need to put it on the motion now that I've taken what you've raised on notice.
Yeah, do you want to turn your mic on? Yeah. Yeah, cool. It's a fair point. I imagine that from my quick analysis, I think it's R2 residential zone land, so whatever the animal management policy says is what will determine what could be put on there. So I think that's where ultimately the answer would lie on that issue. And then if that needs amendment, that's another, we can look at that ourselves, being a policy of council.
I appreciate that. It's of concern to me that it's taken over 2 years worth of questions by the Temple Management Committee in order to get, even a shadow of an answer.
Yeah, no worries. Is any further discussion? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. The next one is, the last mayoral minute is congratulating Uncle Troy Davis, Chair of the Gandangara Land Council, and appreciation for outgoing Chair, Uncle Tony Scholes. I'm delighted to take this moment to extend my warmest congratulations to Uncle Troy Davis on his appointment as Chair of the Gandangara Land Council. This significant milestone is not only a testament of Uncle Troy's dedication and leadership, but also a moment of pride for our community. Uncle Tony Scholes has also served our community with dedication and passion during his tenure as Chair of the Gandangara Land Council. His commitment to the preservation of our Indigenous heritage has been truly remarkable, and his leadership will be fondly remembered. As we welcome Uncle Troy Davis to this pivotal role, I would like to express our heartfelt appreciation to Uncle Tony Scholes for his outstanding contributions. His leadership has paved the way for progress, and his dedication has left an indelible mark on our community. I look forward to working closely with Uncle Troy and the Gandangara Land Council as we embark on a shared journey to co-create a better Liverpool for all residents. It is through collaboration and understanding that we can make meaningful progress towards a more inclusive, sustainable, and harmonious future. I wish Uncle Troy Davis all the best in his new position as Chair of Gandangara Land Council and extend our sincere thanks to Uncle Tony Scholes for his unwavering commitment and leadership. And I'd like to move that Council congratulate Uncle Troy on his new position as Chair of the Gandangara Land Council and extend our sincere thanks to Uncle Tony Scholes for his unwavering commitment to Indigenous community and leadership. Yep.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare carried. Thank you.
Can we record that it was unanimous?
Yes, thank you. Indeed. Okay. So it gets recorded that it was unanimous. All right, lovely. We'll now move into the agenda. The next item is Plan 01. Plan 01, Post-Exhibition Report, Liverpool Local Environmental Plan Amendment 97, 61 and 71 Goulburn Street, Liverpool, Liverpool Private Hospital on page 84, with the recommendation on page 85. I would like to move that way with an extra point. And that notes that a private hospital can be developed on the site as is, regardless of any flooding concerns.
I'm happy to second, but can I just get clarification on point 5 and what the substance of that is?
This whole planning proposal is about adding extra height. So they can develop already, they can build already, or all this planning proposal is saying there's such a demand for health services in this area, we want to put extra on top of it. But in the report, it talks about, but there's flooding, potential flooding. But just pointing it out, yeah, that it's nonsensical that we're being held up in flooding in land that can be developed. Yeah. So seconding that, Councillor Calienda? Yep, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, can I ask you to just swap 4 and 5? So 5 become 4 and 4 become 5.
Yep, no problems. It's all good.
And if I may, Mr Mayor, I've just got a couple of questions. I don't expect the answers now, but if council could come back to me with appropriate answers. Constituents are concerned when they look at this. The first thing they ask is it's in the helicopter flight zone. If another person was putting in a development application, would that be approved? They can't see. It's either in the flight path and it's a danger or it isn't. But just a simple answer to respond to that. And I'll supply these to you after the meeting. The other one that they raise is that the traffic generation, the site, it says that the site will have traffic volumes identified between 255 and 405 vehicle movements at peak hours. Did that traffic study include the consideration of increased residential density as well in the CBD? And the contribution to traffic volumes along the Hume Highway and New Bridge Road being our only exits out of the CBD. They also were unable to find, and I couldn't find it in time, if consideration was made to the overshadowing of the units on the corner of Goulburn and Elizabeth Street, and was that considered to be okay by council? Now, I know that it was already approved and this is only about height, but people have taken the opportunity to ask these questions. They also asked about the Georges River flood study, and they wondered if this building was in the Georges River flood study. Is not the hospital itself in the Georges River flood study? And the report, the SES report was rather damning on that note and not favourable to rezoning, that the flood concerns should be addressed strategically and not in the development application stage, which it is going to be. And they also noted that hospitals are known to have a higher risk of life because of flood events, and they just wanted some clarity around that. That was it. They're their questions.
Thank you, Councillor. The questions will be taken on notice as you've asked, and the Director for Planning will come back to you with answers to those.
Councillor Hall, you had a...
Sorry?
Did you want to present something to councillors on this matter?
No, not on this, on operational OP.
Oh, okay.
OP1, the drain.
Sorry, I thought you said Plan O1.
My mistake too, earlier, yep.
So which one was it? OP?
It's OPOR1, operational 1.
Something to do with drainage by any chance?
Managing drainage, channels and waterways.
Okay.
Sorry, I got it wrong too.
All right, excellent. Is there any further discussion? No? Nothing? I'll say how wonderful and fantastic this is. Hopefully that this can be supported and get some more health services for our community. It's amazing. And it'll be great to our Liverpool Innovation Precinct and a strategy I think we've been working on for over 10 years, if I recall correctly. Anyway, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it unanimous. And that was seconded by Councillor Calienda. Next item is Plan 02.
Happy to move that way, Mr Mayor.
Happy to second with an amendment.
Yep. This is the amendments to the Liverpool DCP, Family Friendly Apartments and Apartment Design Guide Update. Page 100, tab 2, with the recommendation on page 102. Moved Councillor Rhodes, seconded Councillor McNaught with a potential amendment.
My amendment would just be at point 6, that, that we just take out the sentence that starts with alternatively, because I'd like to see the report come back after the Design Excellence panel, regardless of whether there's any submissions from the public or not.
Is this the one that's on?
Family-friendly apartments?
Yep.
Councillor Timor,
Yep.
yes.
Yep. Councillor Rhodes, are you happy with that?
Quite happy with that.
Yep, great. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it unanimous. Yep, no objections to that. Plan 03, Local Heritage Management Policy, page 109, tab 3, 109.
Happy to move that way.
Moved Councillor Rhodes, seconded Councillor Green. Any discussion? I will put the motion. All those in favour?
Sorry, just a question
Yes.
before we take that vote. I noticed that in the book that the management policy is only going on display for 21 days. Is there a reason why it's not 28 days like most things are?
Yeah, I think it should be consistent, mate. We think it should be made 28 days if the mover and seconder are happy with that.
Happy.
That was an error. I've been advised it's an error. So just make that so it says be on exhibition for 28 days. Lovely. Excellent. If there's no discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare it unanimous. Next item is Plan 04, Liverpool LEP Draft Conservation Zones, page 112, tab 4, with the recommendation on page 114.
Happy to move that way.
Moved Councillor Rhodes, seconded Councillor Harrell. Any discussion? I'll move the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Next item is Plan 05, Edmondson Park Landcom Street Naming, page 125, tab 5, with recommendation page 126. Moved Councillor Green, seconded Councillor Harrell. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. Next item is Plan 06, Street Naming Middleton Grange, page 133, tab 6, with recommendation on page 133. Moved Councillor Green, seconded Councillor Harrell. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. Next item is Plan 07, Provisions for Electric Vehicle Infrastructure and Development Control Plans, Financial Applications
Move
Report.
that way.
Page 157, tab 7, recommendation on 157. Move Deputy Mayor.
I will
Seconded Councillor Moon.
If I could just make...
Sorry, seconded Councillor Caliendo. There were just a bunch of hands going up. It was more like almost a Mexican wave going on there. I love the enthusiasm.
Ignored, man.
Pardon?
I feel like I was ignored.
It was literally just a big wave going on there.
Can I just comment and thank staff?
Yell next time.
Can I thank staff for the additional information that was provided since the last meeting on this matter? I think it's important that we have that added cost to our constituents in this cost of living pressure that we're under now, and I'm happy with the answers that came back. So thank you very much, and happy to move that way.
Great. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Okay, COM 01, Report on Most Blessed Nights 2023,
Happy to move that way.
page 71. I think Councillor Moon already moved this one. Tab 8, recommendation on page 171.
I have a question.
Moved Councillor Moon, seconded Councillor Rhodes. Do you want to speak for your motion, Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe this event is a marvellous event for our community. It's bringing the community together. Over the 4-week period that it runs through, it goes through the Ramadan calendar, it goes through Easter, it goes through multiple other events, and the community has it brings unity to the community, I see, from what I feel and the reports that I've gotten back, and I want to thank the events team for putting that on. It's really, really well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Did you want to add that as a point 4? Congratulate the events team on their amazing
Please.
work with this event.
Please.
And the other ones? Thank you. Second, are happy with that? Yep. Any discussion?
I have a question.
No, sorry, Councillor Rhodes.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, on page 174, 2.2, improving the vendor experience, restaurateurs were at first enthusiastic. Just a quick point, can somebody explain they were at first enthusiastic, or are they still enthusiastic?
The director will answer that question.
Thank you. Through the CEO, Councillor Rhodes, there is sways and shifts on that. They are very enthusiastic about it. It is sometimes, it's a long event and sometimes they can't open, they haven't got the staffing to open all the time and there's some issues there, but we work with them and it's still quite positive and well received by the businesses.
Excellent. And just one other concern, we're giving $100,000 again out of the budget. There's a budget review coming up at the next meeting of council, is that right? September? October?
Yes, Councillor, we'll go to the next quarter review.
And can we have in that budget report, because we're giving more money, dedicating more money into, can we see how much we're actually have given to other different events so that we can keep tabs on it, because that's just increasing the obligations of council, and it would be good to know how much we're up to and where we sit.
We can provide that, Councillor, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. Next item is COM 02, Grants and Donations, Community Sponsorship, page 182, tab 9, recommendation on 182 to move Councillor Green, seconded Councillor Rhodes. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. We've done Corp 01. We'll now move to Corp 02, transfer for New South Wales, proposed construction of lease over council land in Cecil Hills.
I have a question on this, Mr.
Yep,
Mayor.
page 195, tab 11, with a recommendation on page 196. Do we have a mover?
I have a question.
Move, yep, one sec, Councillor Calienda.
I'm happy to second it.
Second to Councillor Rhodes. Yep, your question, Councillor?
Yes, it's about the trees, Mr. Mayor. We have a policy for any developer that if they were to remove trees, we have a 2-for-1 policy. Take out one tree, you've got to replace it by 2. That isn't what is being recorded here in a possible agreement, where it will be a 1-for-1, possibly a 1-for-1. And I don't think that's sufficient, Mr. Mayor, because it takes 20 years for a tree to mature to the same stage as these trees. And with an increasing security risk to people's health, quality of air, growing temperatures rising every year, I think that this could be further addressed by council to see if we can possibly get a better outcome for the constituents in this area. It's not that, they say also that this is going to be for a 4-year period, possibly an extension on that. If you add that to the 20 years that it will take for another tree to grow to the same extent as the trees that are currently there, that's quite a substantial impact on the local area and on the constituents in that area.
So, Councillor, you'd like them to replant large trees when they come back?
I would like them to plant 2 trees for 1 tree, Mr. Mayor, and they should be mature trees.
So can I recommend that, because we can't force them to do anything,
that council negotiate or continue negotiating for a more agreeable outcome for the Liverpool
So if you put a point 3 in there that the council requests that for every tree removed, that 2 mature trees are replanted in the same location.
Can we refer it back to our climate action policy, which talks about the increase of the tree canopy, and we've accepted that. We're obliged to do that. So that request is really consistent.
Yep.
With our policy.
Yep, and that the TNF and SW comply with our climate action policy.
Yes. And I thank Councillor Rhodes for pointing that out. I missed that, so thank you, Councillor Rhodes.
Can I just ask a question? In the report, it says that council's been advised that any removed vegetation will be reinstated like for like where possible and in accordance with urban...
Can you speak up, sorry, into the microphone a bit more, please? So
sure. I'm referring to page 197 end of the second paragraph. It says, Council has also been advised that any removed vegetation will be reinstated like for like where possible and in accordance with urban and landscaping design plans. What does that mean? Can someone sort of...
Thank you. So, when we deal with a private developer, we can indicate certain policies that they must comply with. When we deal with the state or federal government, we cannot compel them. So all we can do is suggest to them, they come back to us, they are saying to us that wherever possible, they will replace like for like. That's what they have told us. What you're now resolving to do is that you want us to go back to them and suggest they do more than that. But all we can do is suggest, Councillor.
I totally understand. Just in terms of future negotiations like this, how can we make sure that, you know, the policies and the, you know, the frameworks that we implement, like, for example, the climate change strategy that we adopted, are also integrated into those negotiations? Because, you know, if it's not been in this one, then how many others that are currently in train is this conversation not happening?
Again, Councillor, the short answer is I cannot create a policy, Council cannot create a policy that in any way compels a state government or a federal government or one of their agencies to undertake certain aspects. All we can do, which is exactly what we do, is that when we meet with them, we put to them, we show them what our policies are, we indicate to them what we'd like to see, we let them know what our constituents expect from them, they come back to us with what they're proposing. The best example I can give you is light rail along Anzac Parade, what happened there. The councils there fought tooth and nail to have their mature trees replaced. It didn't happen. That's the reality of the situation. Again, we can't compel. All we can do is make representations to them.
Wonderful. Great, thank you. If there's no further discussion...
Mr Mayor, can we just fix up the motion? We'll comply with tree management regulations and the climate action plan of council.
Can I ask one other question?
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
When it comes to the compensation that's being paid by Transport for New South Wales for the use of the parcel for the 4 years, is that calculated amount something that we can negotiate, or is that a standard amount that they offer?
Can we get more money out of them is the question.
Councillor, I can assure you that myself and my entire staff are continually asking for more money. I cannot assure you if we're successful or not until it happens.
As long as we ask. Thank you.
Lovely. All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. The next item is Corp 03 Investment Report, August 23. Can move page 199, tab 12.
Move that way.
With the recommendation on page 200, move Councillor Harle, seconded Councillor Rhodes. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. Corp 04, New South Wales Grants Commission, Financial Assistance Grants Policy, page 209, tab 13, recommendation on page 209.
I've got a question. Can somebody explain it?
Yep, move Councillor Harle, seconded Councillor Amoon. Any discussion?
Can council please explain? There was a lot of information given in there. I take it that on some levels council isn't considered for a grant, and on some others that we are. I just needed to have it a little bit more explanation about it.
And can I add on to that? When it talks about population growth, do we also talk about the economic growth in an area? Because we are getting a lot of industrial land growth, especially around the airport. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask the Director for Finance to respond.
Well, it's exactly as the Mayor points out. What the Grants Commission do is go through a number of, I guess, matters that make it difficult for councils to survive on their own, disabilities, if you like. When they compare Liverpool against that framework, like population, because we are greater than the state standard, there's no benefits that's derived by our council as a result of it, and like councils as a result of that. And there are a number of parameters there: pension and rebate allowance, revenue allowance. Again, if with the revenue allowance, no allowance will be given if the LGA's land values are greater than the state standard, and if they are, that's the way it is. This is really just a report of information. Yes. Well, it's good to the extent, Councillor, to you, Mr Mayor, and to Mr CEO. It's good in terms of we get some $11 or $12 million a year from grants. Obviously, there are councils that have more difficulties and they get more per head of population than we do, and some get less.
There was a letter included in there that stipulated that they look at it per capita. Was that better for Liverpool than before, or was that any different than what was before?
To my understanding, Councillor, again, they look at the disability factors and then they just do that on a per head basis. So, depending on the numbers, if you had the same disabilities and you were a council with twice the capita, then you'll get twice the amount than the council that had half per capita.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. Councillor Hart would like to make a presentation on Operation 01. I'd like to move that we move that item to the end of the agenda to allow it to be properly discussed. Councillor Hart is happy with that. Do I have a seconder? Second, Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. So we'll come back to Operation 01.
Mr Mayor, just on operations, I just want to thank the Director for Operations, Mr. Jason Bredden, and his team. They've started on working on Limp Parade last night, which was a magnificent milestone for me. It's been a real good investment, I believe, from Council's behalf, and I just want to thank them for getting that on the way. Thank you very much.
Right. And it's in September as well.
Yes. It's supposed to be mid, but it's all right. We'll let them slide.
Thank you. Now we move to Operation 02, page 258, tab 15, Reclamation 258. The 20th and 29th of March, City Presentation Parks Review, September update. Do we have a mover?
Thank you, Mr.
Move Councillor Rhodes, second the Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. Next item is Operation 03, McGurr Parkland Playground, page 261, tab 16, recommendation 262. Move Deputy Mayor.
I've
got questions.
Councillor Rhodes.
Motion.
I'll second it and I've got questions.
Yep. Councillor Haggerty, did you say you have a motion?
Yes.
Foreshadowed or amendment?
Foreshadowed.
Yes. Well, what's your foreshadowed motion?
That funds be redirected from Michael Wendon back to these projects.
We're either going to choose one or two. There was both.
You can move foreshadowed. So I'm going to go, which point are you moving, Deputy Mayor? Point one, option one or option two?
I was moving option one.
Option one.
Thank you.
Is your one still relevant, Councillor Haggerty, if we move option one?
Yes. Yeah, my one still stands, and I'll speak to why.
I'm just thinking if that's... Okay. That's fine. So funds be redirected from Michael Wendon Centre to these projects. Yep.
So,
Yep.
So if I read the report correctly, funds were
just before you speak, are you happy with the wording of that motion? Of your foreshadowed motion?
funds that were funds be redirected back from Michael Wendon.
Cool. Yep, cool. Back from...
What funds were directed to Michael Wendon?
Do you have a seconder for that? No? Just one sec.
Like I do.
Yep. Seconded.
Seconded, Councillor Carneeb?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I've got more questions.
Well, at the moment, we have to deal with the motion first. If the motion fails, then we'll move into the foreshadowed motion.
Mr. Mayor, it's either redirected or directed back. You can't say redirected back.
Redirected back. What's that? What's that called? A negative or something like that? Hmm. Thank you.
Yep.
Semantics.
Okay.
Mr Mayor, can we have a little bit more information from council regarding the work that is to be done and the cost of the works that are to be done before we consider this particular motion?
The one that you're seconding?
The one that I'm seconding, yes.
Yep.
Thank you, councillor. I'll ask the Director of Operations to commence, but again, just to confirm that the motion that council is currently looking at is motion number 1 to immediately allocate 6,000K in Section 11 Developer Contributions funding to the McGurr Park Playground to service council's co-contribution for the DPE Green Space Program and proceed. So that's the purpose of this, so we can keep the money DPE gave us and then add to it through the Section 711 Developer Contributions. The Director of Operations, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, through the CEO, how much will it cost? Is it either going to cost $1.2 million, or if we get an additional reallocation of $300,000, it'll cost $1.5 million, or we can not go ahead and give back $600,000.
And would it be possible if we found another 600,000, for instance, that we would get the McGurr Park and the other park, the Ron Darcy Park done at the same time? Is that possible, or is that
only $300,000 has been allocated for Ron Darcy?
And you say it's going to cost us $900 to fix Ron Darcy? 900,000, of course.
Look, I might just revert. I've got the Manager Infrastructure Delivery with me in council. I might just refer that single question across to him.
Through the CEO, thank you, Council, for your question. So for the Ron Darcy project, the original project budget was $900,000 of Council's funding plus $300,000 of grant funding for a total of $1.2 million. Okay. So to continue with the project, we would need $900,000 extra for Ron Darcy.
Thank you.
Thank you. It should be added, councillors, that if we don't proceed with this, we have to return the $300,000. We cannot allocate it anywhere else. We cannot keep the money.
The 600,000.
All right.
Well, can I just clarify something? Is the substance of what's being done here reversing the decision from the May meeting?
Do you want to say?
Yes.
That's my foreshadowed motion.
So it just means that both motions are the same. Then if the substance of option 1, which is the substantial motion, is to reverse the decision of the May meeting, does that mean that the funding stays as it was without the amendments to the extraordinary budget?
No, we lose the 300,000.
That's what I
Yes,
understood to
I'm
be
just
option
trying to-
1. I think we're in furious agreement, to quote Councillor Haggerty. I think that we're both saying the same thing.
That's
I'll
what
ask
I'm
the
trying
manager to clarify that, because he's wanting to clarify. So rather than we keep talking, let the manager clarify.
Thank you. Through the CEO, so just to clarify, the May resolution actually had several components to it, basically redirecting funding from several projects towards Michael Wendon, 2 of which were the McGurr Park project and the Ron Darcy project. So we're not fully reversing the resolution from May. It would be partially reversing it, I suppose you could say. So the $600,000 Section 711 allocation, that was one part of that resolution. If we were to look for another $900,000 and put it towards Ron Darcy, that would be a second component of the resolution. It had 3 components to it.
Okay, so sorry for my clarity. That 600, it says here the 600 is coming from 711.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So, and that's a different 600 than the 1.2 and 900 that was redirected.
No.
It's a little complicated, actually, Councillor, because at the time the resolution was to redirect funding from the McGurr Park project to Michael Wendon, but at the time the decision was made without realising that the funding was Section 711 and therefore restricted. So at the June Council resolution, Council resolved to replace that $600,000 of Section 711 funding with general funds and therefore that Section 711 funding that was meant to be redirected just went back into the Section 711 reserve.
So now you're asking us to use that money? Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah.
In which case, I'm happy to withdraw my foreshadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct, councillor. This is why if this motion one succeeds, there is no requirement for your foreshadowed.
Yeah, look, I just thought that the 711, the 600 from the 711 was coming from somewhere else, and in essence, we were, taking money from places like Ed Park or Austral or somewhere else where there is significant 711 money to fund something in Miller. So I'm comfortable that that's not really what's happening, and that in part we're doing what I propose, which is to put the money back. So, yeah, happy to proceed.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'll put the motion, then all those in favour? Against? I declare it carried.
That means the two lapses. Recommendation two lapses.
We now have committees.
Mr Mayor, we can approve, I would move to approve the minutes of the Tourism and CBD Committee on the 28th of August.
Is any committee that wants to be pulled out?
I'd like to pull out the
minutes
Intermodal
of the
Committee.
Intermodal Committee.
All right, let's go one by one. Okay, tourism. So moved. Council Roads Tourism and Events Committee, page 265, tab 17. Recommendation on 265. Second, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. Committee 02.
So with the Intermodal Committee, Mr Mayor, there is an error in the committee members who are minuted as being present. Some of those people aren't committee members.
And the rightful committee members then should be, Carlo is still there, Ellie Robinson, Eric Rakowski and Diane Wills are the committee members.
Cool.
The other thing that we would like to address, Mr Mayor, is that from the last meetings that we had regarding the Civic Advisory Committee, we're still on
the Intermodal Committee.
Oh, sorry, the Intermodal.
Yep. So
that's it.
Moved, Deputy Mayor, seconded.
Yes.
Council Rhodes.
Yep.
Any discussion? Put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare carried. Civic Advisory Committee meeting.
Yes.
I'm intending to move into closed session when we get down to a report regarding this matter later on.
Yes. The point that we'd like to make here is that from the last meeting that we held, it was obvious that we need to do some refined work about the charter and the policies for these particular committees.
So can I recommend that we move that to the end and close, that we deal with that as part of the other civic?
Happy to do that,
as part of the
Mr.
confidential
Mayor.
civic report. So we'll move Committee 03 into confidential with the other confidential report regarding the civic awards.
Minutes.
Seconded, Council Rhodes. Any discussion? All in favour? Against? I declare it carried.
Move the minutes of the Environmental Advisory Committee.
Move Council Rhodes. Seconded, Council Green. Any discussion? Put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare it carried.
Sorry, Mayor, the Environmental Advisory Committee meeting.
Yes.
I have an issue there.
Yep. What's your issue? Sorry, Councillor.
One of the problems with the Environmental Advisory Committee is that it's actually two committees. It was the Floodplain Management Committee was incorporated into that. And so what happens is the fact that it's only 2 hours, we're always running over time. We don't have enough time to address the issues to do with floodplain management. So we need to look at either do we reinstate the Floodplain Management Committee or have a separate one or increase the time. And we're all reluctant to increase the time to 3 hours, but I believe Liverpool is built on a floodplain and therefore it is an important committee and we need to discuss flooding issues. So maybe we need to look at the charter and somehow either, if we're incorporating it into there, and the original I was under the impression that it was actually 3 hours. And I've been told many times, no, it's not, Council, it's 2.
So in the short term, how about we just amend the charter that it becomes a 3-hour meeting?
Yes, please.
Yep. Moved. Sorry, if everyone's happy to.
Yep.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Mover and second are happy with that. Yep. So amend the charter that'll be expanded to 3-hour meetings. Great. All those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Heritage Advisory Committee 05.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's some issues with this particular one.
Yep.
We can move the minutes of the 20th of March. So approve the minutes of the 20th March, if there is a seconder.
Yeah.
It's fine, yep.
Yep, happy to second that, the Mayor.
So the minutes of the 20th of March. Then you have the minutes of the 17th of July, Mr. Mayor. There's several minutes involved in the heritage, in this, in the heritage committees, in this paper. So if we move and approve the 20th of March, that's one out of the way.
Yep. And the rest of them, what do you want to do with them?
Well, the next one is July the 17th. There was a question in there that the committee recommended that the gateway signage acknowledge the First Nations and that Liverpool was founded in 1810, the first Macquarie town and the fourth oldest city in Australia, and that should be on that welcome sign. I don't think that was made clear in the minutes, that was the recommendation. And the second one was something that I think that we've now had answered, which was a request that names within the Lanier hub for the rooms be named. And we've been told today that those names have been already made. So that would have to come out of that advice has to go in to those minutes to approve.
Yeah, just a couple of questions about the points that Councillor Rhodes makes. Just that I think that we need some clarification as councillors when we pass these minutes from meetings about what the implications of the motions passed at those meetings are and whether they're actually legal and doable, because these are not the same processes we normally go through when we make those decisions on the council floor. So I'm not sure whether at this point we just hold those minutes over for a discussion at the governance committee or something like that, but this is not the usual process that it would take for these naming type of things to happen. I understand the sentiments of what the committee's asking, but I'm not sure about us endorsing those minutes as they're read.
So effectively what you're saying, Deputy Mayor, is that if there's anything substantive that comes out of the minutes, that the way that they're reported should be different versus just being an item in committee reports.
anything that needs to be discussed should be pulled out and
because ultimately gateway signage is a hundreds of thousands of dollars commitment. You know what I mean?
And as far as my understanding is that committees don't have that power to allocate money and decisions like that. So certainly it can be brought forward for discussion, but not endorsed as part of
this is a recommendation. It has to be passed by council. So that was just clarifying what was being asked. But really these particular committees are supposed to be going to the governance committee, where we can have that full and frank conversation about these things that are raised in the committees, not here at council. Okay, so there's been that mistake.
Agreed. Yeah, so I think it's just just being mindful of what's there. So do you want to defer these?
If we could defer these minutes.
Are you happy deferring them, Councillor Rhodes?
I don't think that's really necessary. It's what is the contention?
I think there are a number of things that are of contention.
What?
Well, for first off, the gateway signage. What the Aboriginal Consultative Committee asked for was a simple welcome to country. We say it every time when we acknowledge anything, we acknowledge the country on which we are meeting, the land of the Cabral people and the Darug Nation. That was a very simple request, and I think that's very, very different to then trying to tack on a colonial history on top of it. I think they're two separate issues. It's not about in what the proposer said in the spirit of reconciliation at all. I don't support that at all. I think it's wrong, and I have concerns with some of the motions that are actually put forward.
Okay, we will refer it to the governance committee where we can have a full and frank conversation about it.
So move that all the heritage committees be deferred to the governance committee.
You can
move
pass
Councillor Rhodes.
March 20th.
Let's defer them all. Make it easier.
Defer them all.
Second, and Deputy Mayor, any discussion I'll put the motion. All those in favour, against, declare it carried. Next one is the Crime Prevention Committee, page 2338.
Happy to move that way.
Moved Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor Amoon. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, against, declare that carried. Councillors, I'd like to move that we have a quick recess and we reconvene at 3:20. Thank you.
I hope everybody
1, 2, 3, 4,
We had all
5.
it.
We can begin. We have a quorum. Got Nathan there. Well, they're not visible, so I can't count them.
Yes, I am here.
You're here.
Yeah,
Councillor Haggerty.
I don't know. Councillor Gadib.
Is back.
Yeah, he's coming.
Thank you, everyone. I'd like to declare the meeting resumed. Next ones, we have questions with notice. Councillor Haggerty. All good? Thumbs up. You can hear us.
His mic's off.
Councillor Haggerty?
It's frozen.
No, he moved. He moved his eyebrows before. Councillor Haggerty, you there?
No, it's frozen.
His mic's off.
No,
Yep, there's a hand.
Now he's okay. Try again now.
Yep.
Councillor Haggerty, can you hear us? Can you give us a thumbs up? Can you hear us?
Move for the next one, might come back to him later.
Can someone just message him, please? Yes, all right. Councillor Caliander?
Yes, I do have a follow-up.
Can you put your microphone on, please? All right.
Yes, I have a couple of follow-up questions in relation to this. So at the moment, it's faster for people who live in the neighbouring streets to this particular site to drive all the way around than it is to walk a couple of streets, which I think is extraordinary. And obviously the lack of community, the lack of amenity and connectivity is affecting community wellbeing. One of the questions I had is how will council work with both Alum and Okinawa to potentially fast track this? And when is Basin 14 scheduled to be delivered by council?
I think the second part is the most important part, and that enables the first part. I'll refer to the CEO.
Thank you. I'll refer to the director.
This director. That director.
Which one?
Unless Tina wants to build basins.
Tina, I have you down as the answer to the question.
I'm back. In relation, sorry, through the CEO, in relation to Basin 14, 3 years.
It's still 3 years away.
Correct.
And in the meantime, so the last paragraph says there may be another 12 to 18 months. Is that sort of notwithstanding delivery of the basin?
Sorry, can I have the question again?
Sure. So the last paragraph of the response here says potentially addressing the requirement for the walkway is another 12 to 18 months away. Is that separate to delivery of the basin?
Concurrent. So if it's in relation to a decommissioning of a temporary basin,
right,
that would be concurrent within the 3-year period.
Right. So in the meantime, is there a way of potentially, having a temporary access or a way of ensuring that there is this connectivity from the neighbouring streets to the site? Because I just think it's extraordinary that they'd have to drive all the way around, and people who live on the other side of Benera Road potentially have a quicker way of accessing the amenity.
I understand the question. Can I take that on notice, and I'll get back through the CEO on a temporary access way? Yep.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Haggerty, did you have anything from your question?
No, I'm back, and thank you for those answers. And can I also thank the relevant staff who ventured out to Leppingen Village today to have a meeting with me on this and give me an update. People of Austral will be very happy.
Great. Next one is NOM 01, page 350, tab 25, with recommendation Page 51, Councillor Rhodes.
Yes, Mr Mayor. The motion is, of course, for to bring back to the November workshop that identifies the challenges, opportunities and cost implications for the following, and I won't read it all out.
No worries.
It's basically about making our roads wider.
You
for our
have a
constituents.
seconder, seconded Deputy Mayor, Councillor Green. Councillor Green seconded. Any discussion? Put the motion, all those in favour? Against, declare that carried. Next one is NOM 02. Is that Councillor Calienda? Planting trees at Edmondson Park, page 353.
Yes, I thank Council for the response.
Just one sec. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Green?
Yes, I'm happy to.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Calienda.
Trees.
It's not a,
Which
not,
I'm very.
You are Councillor Green.
Yeah,
Look,
well,
look.
this is,
you could,
my name's not Teresa.
you could be known as the Whinger in Chief, which, you know. Yeah, look, I thank council staff for the response, but I think particularly with respect to Edmondson Park, we've been talking about tree planting, we've been talking about the lack of a tree canopy in that particular suburb for the better part of 5 years, which is, you know, and it just keeps getting kicked down the road to, you know, be rolled into a strategy or to be rolled into the next development or the next plan or whatever it is. And obviously, as time goes on, more and more residents are noticing and feeling the impact of lack of tree coverage and just, you know, the lack of opportunity to be involved in tree planting activities in their local community. So that's probably why I would stick with the original motion as what I've proposed there.
Great. Okay, any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, declare it carried.
Mr Mayor, I have an urgency motion.
Yes, Councillor, what is your urgency motion?
So my urgency motion, it's urgent because it needs to be acted on before the next council meeting if it's to pass, and so that's why I'd like to bring it up now.
Yep. And what is the motion about?
The motion relates to logistical support for the Battle of Bathsheba Memorial Service that is held annually in Liverpool, and this year it's to be held on the 29th of October.
Yep. Okay, so it's urgent because obviously it cannot wait. There's no point waiting until the next council meeting because it becomes
correct.
ineffective. So I'm happy to grant that accept that as urgent.
I'll declare an interest in that item, Mr Mayor.
Yep. Great. What is your actual motion?
So my motion is quite simple. It's just that council provides logistical support for the Battle of Bathsheba Memorial Service that it's held annually in Liverpool, to be held this year on the 29th of October. And so that's the motion.
Yep. Do you have a seconder? Seconder, Councillor Amoon. Do you want to speak for your motion, Councillor?
Just that, you know, this is something that I think council should support. Logistically, we're talking about the use of marquees and chairs and a sound system, so it's not something significantly costly, but it's something that we should be on board with and we should support. I know a lot of us attend this annually. Thank you.
Lovely. Any other further discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. Wonderful. Can someone please ask Councillor Rhodes to please come back in?
Are you going to do Operation 01 before you go into confidential? Makes no sense. You don't want to go into confidential.
Just 1 second. All right. Now, councillors, before we go to the confidential items, we'll move back into, we'll deal back with Operation 01, the management drainage channels and waterways. And then following that, we will continue into the confidential items because I will be there. So, Councillor Howell, would you like to move a motion?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I have the motion handed out. Basically, the motion is defers the implementation of the report and A, takes interested councillors and staff on a tour of typical sites in the Liverpool LGA featuring existing and proposed stormwater treatment of tributary C, also known as Hopkins Creek. I believe it's Hopkins Creek. And B, areas of interest are 1. The low flow drainage at Hoxton Park Road along Sarah Hollands Drive and Bedwell Park Lake. 2. Middleton Grange drainage channel at Affleck Park. And 3. Stormwater channel underpass at the intersection of Hoxton Park Road and Cow Pasture Roads. 4. Visit to the suburb of St Clair, which features an extensive low-flow pipe stormwater drainage system. 5. Amalfi Park. 6. Edmondson Park stormwater drainage channels. 7. Brickmakers Creek at Collymore Park. And part 2 of the motion, Council to determine the next step after community consultation has occurred.
So he wants to defer.
Yep. Do you have a seconder for that? Seconder, Councillor Green. Councillor, would you like to speak for your motion?
Yes, actually, I have. Councillors have been given a copy of slides, and also the previous report by council. When I raised this issue back in August 2021, council planners or the floodplain management people provided a report which was given to council on the 23rd of September 2021. So new councillors this term may not be privy to that information. Hence, I took the liberty of having that photocopied and handed around. You can have a look at it. And it was in response to my original concerns. Now, I have that presentation. There's a PowerPoint presentation, which if we can put that up, and I'll be talking in favour of that. So you may want to read that and listen basically to
what option are you recommending?
I'm not really recommending an option. I'm suggesting that councillors have a look at this first. And I think because this is a $5 to $9 million project, I think the way it is at the moment, with minor embellishments, is the way to go. I think it's better off leaving it as it is rather than put in what you're suggesting. The suggestions are 2 stages. There's $2.5 million in one financial year, and 2 years later there's another $2.5 million. I would suggest that that money is wasted. It will not achieve anything. It won't be something that the community is interested in. At this stage, I would say you are better off leaving it as it is, and there are some minor embellishments that need to be done to fix the problems, but I think the proposal, which is basically saying that we should put rocks, boulders and so on in that channel, which I've got some information here, which will mean the maintenance of that will be extraordinary. It's bad enough now. If we do what the suggestions are, it will make it much worse. The only way out of this, if you want to get rid of the maintenance issues and the issues that are of concern, you need to make it option 1. But option 1 is you're looking at about $9 million. Now, I have some issues with option 1, 2 and 3, and one of those is there is a footpath which is included in those options. The footpath is not necessary simply because you have, for half the length of that channel, 500 metres, you already have a street on either side of that channel. There's no point constructing a multi-million-dollar footpath which is not going to do anything. So I think the footpath could be left out, and that should be a considerable saving in the building of that embellishment of the channel. If you look at the slides, you'll see my concerns, and those concerns actually go back to 2008 and before, not 2008, 2004 actually. The channel was built in 1998, and the local residents at that time formed a petition of about 2,000 signatures objecting to the open channel. What they wanted was the low flow channel that was constructed at Sarah Hollands Drive. And then, because of changes in the urban water policy, urban water design policy, there were changes made that the low flow drains are not what is environmentally friendly. The problem is that it may not be environmentally friendly, but it certainly is a much better outcome with the low flow drains on health and safety. You don't have the issues of rats, mice, poisonous snakes, mosquitoes, the stench of dried out ponds. None of that would occur if you have low flow drains, which incidentally are in the St Clair area, and some of those slides show that. The St Clair area has exclusively underground pipe work that the residents, they have recreational areas, sometimes they have parties there, picnics and so on. All of that is useful. You can't do that if you've got the open channels, which is what's being proposed. The problem also with the open channels that are being proposed is that the bed of that channel will have very large rocks. We're talking about rocks, boulders, about 1 square metre in size. And if you distribute those as suggested in the report that I would like to congratulate council staff for putting together, the report is very, very good. It actually shows the disadvantages. Unfortunately, it doesn't it doesn't really speak about the disadvantages. And one of the issues for having these open channels is that the channel will have an effect on the water. It's supposed to clean the water that comes from, say, the streets. And the streets, obviously, you've got cars that drop oil and grease and fuel into the streets. That then gets washed into those stormwater drains, and the theory is that the plants, the vegetation, will remove that. Well, that isn't quite true. We all know that oil floats on top of water, and what that means is when it rains heavily, the oil and the grease and the fuel will be washed into the creeks, but it'll just flow on top of the water and then into the rivers and eventually into the ocean. The only time that the plants have any effect is when you have drizzle, very slow moving amounts of water. And in all of this particular creek, there is no water flow once it stops raining. So the plant life in that instance would do very, very little to clean the water. So I think that needs to be considered. All in all, I'm basically saying leave it as it is, fix the underpass, which is underneath that main intersection of Hoxton Park Road and Cowpasture Road. Currently, in my estimation, that is about 75% blocked. And the reason it's blocked is from erosion from the other side of the intersection. The heavy rains have washed the soil away and it's stuck in that cul-de-sac underneath the intersection. That needs cleaning out, but it's become an issue that's been put in the too hard basket. It's going to be quite a difficult process to remove that. You need some kind of scouring device, a plate or some such thing that you can drag through there and clean it out. Currently, that underpass causes problems. Every time we have reasonable amount of rain, that intersection floods. The water runs across the intersection because the channel underneath is blocked. And consequently, that I think has been going on for at least 10 years. one of the slides pictures I've got is the last time it was done, and that was done in about 2010. So that needs fixing up because I can't understand why the Roads Transport for New South Wales or the RMS hasn't said to council, you need to clean it out. So look, I could go on for hours about this. It's something that I'm very passionate about, and we should, I think councillors should have a look at this first and just do a comparison. The other major issue I have, if you look in the new areas such as Gregory Hills, which are cited in that report, if you go and have a look at those now, they've been built no more than 5 years ago. So the problems that we are experiencing, they have not yet experienced. In 3 or 4 years' time, you will find that the stormwater channels that they have in the middle of the road either side of the stormwater channel, it will be filled with rubbish. It'll have rats, mice, snakes, mosquitoes, and in there, and they're going to be looking at those problems and for a solution to that. And it's going to be a very, very expensive solution to retrofit that with the only plausible way of doing it, which is to put the low-flow pipes underneath. I think that's enough. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councillor Harrell. Just before I get to the staff, I want to respond. Councillor Haggerty, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, a couple points. My understanding is that we're proposing this sort of hybrid model where it's actually sort of concrete and rocks, but then it's naturalised with a bit of trees planted around it to look natural. If that's the case, are we able to visit a site that, can we add a site that actually has that? And my understanding is along Elizabeth Drive, where the McDonald's is before you go to Smithfield Road, that area there was floated as an example of where this has worked. So if we could include that in there. And just one last point, I know the St Clair area very well. While that might work well for drainage, Councillor Hall, it then results in it becoming an extremely popular motorbike track. And so we'll probably end up with complaints about, I'll call them idiots on motorbikes going down those passages. So, we solve one problem and we create another. So I'd like to have a look at what we're like an actual example of what we're proposing here.
Councillor Hadid.
Thank you. Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, questions to my colleague Peter. Peter is very obviously talking against the recommendation. So what are you intending to do? Are you deferring this item and direct the CEO to have a site tour before it comes back to us? So, okay, are you moving anything now in this regard, just to consider it? Thank you.
Well, I think my motion states that we defer the implementation of the report subject to people looking at it. And then number 2 says council to determine the next step after community consultation has occurred. The original motion asked for that too. There is to be, yeah.
Thank you. I'll refer to the CEO.
Thank you. I'll refer it to the Director of Operations who's been undertaking work on this.
Thank you. Through the CEO, there's just a couple of points in relation to the footpath costs. It looks like $525,000 per footpath, so you could take that off the costs of options 1, 2 and 3. No material difference because the variance is identical on 1, 2 and 3, and the subject matter expert has identified option 4, which does not have a footpath. The second comment I would make is that we haven't had an option of option 5 is do nothing. That's before the council today for consideration. We've got an SME. We've got a coordinator who has done substantial work on this project, has presented to council 3 or 4 times. After speaking with him and the team, we are agnostic as to what decision you make, but we need a decision, any decision, to move forward. There are some costs involved, notwithstanding escalation costs, but there is costs involved in the opportunity loss as to when we sequence works. So when we are talking about the wider discussion about place, space, and areas like Austral and other areas, the sequencing of these works becomes materially important when it comes to how we design space. So we can delay forever, but we just need a decision about what option council would like to take in this process.
I have a question.
Councillor Rhodes.
Let's say we were to go with Councillor Hull's option, which we've heard quite a few times before, and seen the similar slides, and I admire his passion. But let's say if council was to endorse what he is saying, in the constrictions of our budget, how long would it take council to redo all the drainage to underflow drainage, given that we can't do it in one hit? What would you estimate? How long do you think it would take council to be able to fix up these problems and put in underflow drains everywhere?
Thank you. Through the CEO, if it was a suggestion that we retrofit underground drainage that would not provide the water quality requirements that are the current standard, which option 4 allows, it's not only a water passage and the recreational use issue that we have to consider, is that option 4 allegedly, and again I'm not a water expert, but my SMEs tells me that is the standard that improves the water quality the most. So retrofitting may not even be an option given the regulations. How long it would take?
Don't know.
I can't tell you.
So what are those regulations? Why can't we do this? What are the regulations that seem to be a barrier?
The EPA would have thresholds on water quality. We would have to meet those thresholds, and option 4 allows for those. Is the optimum response to water quality as it relates to rain and drain water. But again, I'm not the expert, but I can take those kind of questions on notice and give you a more discreet answer. But as to the exact legislation and regulation you're dealing with,
Can I just for clarity, through you, Mr. Mayor, we've had discussions about this at the Georges Riverkeeper meetings as well, and so I think I have heard before, Mr. Director, what you were saying is that although not popular in the community, these are hailed as the best water treatment options for stormwater and groundwater moving forward. And I know that we've had those discussions at Georges Riverkeeper as well. So is that's what I'm getting from these options, is that is the best as far as water quality goes? Is that correct?
option 4 provides the best water quality result as per the discussions and the advice of the SME.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I may add, councillors, to what the director's saying, I mean, put simply, this has been before you a number of times. We've had a number of sessions on this. What we as council officers are saying to you is that we are recommending that you proceed. Today, we are recommending that you proceed with option number 4, and we are indicating that if you endorse today option number 4, we can immediately proceed with the community consultation that we have to undertake. Our concern is that if we keep deferring this, Christmas will be upon us, and we will be talking about this again next year, and that is a serious concern for us in relation to that. That is what council officers are telling me, and as the CEO, that's what I'm communicating to you, councillors. But it is a matter for you, not for us.
Councillor Hadid.
Well, I can't see any serious consequences of deferring this item for 1 month till we give a chance for the councillors to to tour the site and ask some questions on the site and receive some answers and come back next month and look at it. So I don't see any serious consequences of the federal government.
I think the issue is we've already deferred this once, and we had a we had a briefing session on it.
We had a briefing session, and if you can look at the report, it's been going since 2021.
But ultimately,
so we need to make a decision, I think, on it.
So briefing session is different from touring the site and look at it. So then you will have a very good idea about it. You know, it's not for just talking and listening. When you tour the site and look, what is the risk? What is the problem? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but can I break it down in simple terms? What I remember of the briefing session, which was very thorough at the time. So, option 4 was the most economical option of them, but also provided the largest environmental benefit.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, through the CEO. On page 254, it talks about option 4 as the most, or not only the cheapest by $2 million, but the proposed modification option fully complies with the legislative requirements and satisfies the principles and guidelines of water-sensitive urban design.
Yep. So that means ultimately water quality, I'll get to water quality ultimately is for the Georges River, which we're the custodians of, it gives us the best water quality as a least thing. The other thing is, so if we go just to your point, Councillor Hadid, we can go on a tour, right? And we can see all potentially what are better things, right? But that's not, even though the things that are better won't necessarily give us better water quality, but put that aside, they're more expensive. So if we do like them, then where do we find the money for them? Yeah, so I think this is a consideration.
This is the next paragraph.
Yeah, do you want?
Look, yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you go to page 255, councillors, at the conclusion, paragraph 2, and it's my, again, recommendation to you. Naturalised channel modification under option 4 is the most cost-effective solution with the lowest capital and annual maintenance cost among all the 4 options presented. The proposed option will significantly improve water quality and aesthetics of the creek. The proposed modification option fully complies with the legislative requirements, satisfies the principles and guidelines of water-sensitive urban design. Adopting this option will provide satisfactory balance between the necessary performance attributes of the drainage system, its environmental impacts and community expectations on appearance and form. That's the situation. Yes, you can tour, but it will not change that conclusion is what I'm respectfully submitting to you. And more importantly, what you approve, if you approve this, I still have to go out to community consultation on that option to get the feedback and come back to you.
Councillor Green?
And with respect, I understand. I have been through the briefing twice on this, but I mean, I'm hearing there are still reservations by some councillors. I can't see why a site visit isn't a good idea in terms of not only seeing where it was something similar of what you're proposing will work, because what you see on a slide is very different to what you will see in reality. And secondly, it also gives us as councillors an opportunity to see those examples where it doesn't work and where it does cause problems for residents as well. So we get a better understanding of what those problems are. And if anything, it behoves us to make the best possible informed decision so that we are not creating a problem for residents down the road, further down. So I can't see the problem in just deferring it for the month. Let's get the site visit and then, we should then be able to make a solid decision by the next meeting. Will 4 weeks really make a difference?
No, I just think on that your point, Councillor Green, about what it does her, and I'm happy to go for site visits, all in favour of them, but ultimately it's kind of like when you go car shopping, you know what I mean? If you can't afford a Ferrari, you don't walk into a Ferrari dealership, right? And because we can go look at different things, but it's not going to give us a better outcome. But then ultimately, at the end of the day, if this is saying this is the best environmental outcomes, we're worried about trees, what about our waterways? If we go out there and put these drainage channels in,
And then the site visit then should make that really clear that yes, that is the way we go. And then we do make a fully informed decision.
Yeah. Councillor Amun?
I was just going to go with the recommendation. I was just going to move the recommendation. We've had these talks over and over again. It seems like we need to have an action plan. This is the action plan that's been presented to us. We have a solution. It's cost effective. I don't see the benefit of going out on a site visit. We're not waterways experts. We've got the experts telling us a story and telling us how everything is going to work and how they got the best solution for us. It's been to us twice or three times. It's been going since 2021 where we weren't on council. So I believe we need to make a call on it and just go ahead with it.
Yeah. So are you moving the recommendation?
Yes, please.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Goodman? Was any... Councillor Rhodes, did you want to...
Yes, look, can I just have further clarification? The option of underflow drainage, would that be rejected by the EPA? Would council have any difficulties having that approved?
Through the CEO, I can't answer the question today. Take it on notice.
Councillor, we'd literally have to start from scratch and then put it together, put the reports together, get expert advice together and approach EPA. It won't be deferred for a month, I'm telling you now. We'll be here middle of next year.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. Councillor Hall, yeah. Do you want to...
No, I just...
I say your light of reply. I was going to say, I'll just want explaining.
Apart from that, the report actually includes for Austral and that area, it does include round, I think, about 5 kilometres of that same underflow piping. You know, it's recommended. I think there's a total of maybe 10 kilometres and half of that can be done with low flow pipes. The other half can't. It depends on whether there was a natural creek there in the first place. If there was a natural creek there in the first place, then you cannot put underground pipes. I understand that. What you're doing here, or what you're suggesting here, was already done at this site in 2004. Exactly the same thing. This is the problem. If you now put it back the way it was in 2004, the first flood that comes along will wash away those rocks. They were there. I live next door to it. I can tell you that all of those small dams, all those rocks were washed down into Hinchinbrook Creek. They are no longer there. Now, all you're going to do here, by spending $2.5 million, you are going to put that same nonsense that doesn't work back there. You are going to get the residents up in arms about the stench, the rats, the mice, the mosquitoes, and the flooding that occurs. I can tell you, you will be repeating the same mistake. Don't do it.
I wonder...
Mr. Mayor, let's just defer it. I think it's taking enough of our time. If we can't make a decision collectively on this straight away, how about we defer it, like Deputy Mayor said, for 4 weeks till the next council meeting, and then we'll move from there. But I urge you all to have a decision or make a decision on it by the next round, because we can't continue deferring this.
Why don't we just vote? Sometimes we're going to split. It's democracy.
Mr. Mayor, I wonder if we should have a point in there which
just one second.
That council consults on option 4 with the community whilst it's doing this, and at least you've got one part of the job done.
So, what they call it, if I'm hearing this correctly, so Councillor Amun, you're withdrawing your motion, which is the recommendation.
I would like to proceed with it, but if it's going to cause that much controversy, I'm happy to defer it.
Yep.
But in my honest opinion, I'd like it to go ahead.
Okay, so let me get that then. So you're withdrawing on the basis that we can come back and make a decision at the next council meeting, as what Councillor Green?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Councillor Harl's motion becomes the motion, but we've got to bring it back to the next council meeting, which means councils need to make themselves available to do site visits. I don't think we're going to be able to get all those site visits done in that time frame, but at least some of them, right? Then what Councillor Rhodes is saying, just one second, Councillor Rhodes is saying is, why don't we go out there and ask the community their opinion on them, because this is a public report. Yeah. Huh?
Consult with the community on option 4 at the same time that you're doing all
that. We're doing that.
If it comes back, then we've got that to consider, which would mean that we're in no worse position than what it was if we moved the motion.
Go for it. But if we go to community consultation, the reality is we won't have a response by the next council meeting. That's in reality.
Mr.
When
Mayor,
would we have
Pardon?
the
It's 4 weeks, so if we go to consultation for 4 weeks, by the time it's out there, it comes back compiled, that won't actually happen.
Well, I still think that we should proceed with the consultation on option 4 at the same time if you were to move Councillor Harl's motion, so that in that 4 weeks' time, if nothing else, you've done the consultation about option 4.
Yeah, Councillor, the problem I have with consultation with the community on something that has not been determined by council, I can't go out and have a very intensive consultation for 4 weeks on possibly option 4, and then go back at the next council meeting, you don't approve it, and then I undertook all that consultation for nothing and simply created a scenario with the community that they will not understand. It's putting the cart before the horse, with all due respect. I need the motion to be passed. Once the motion is passed and I know exactly what the motion is, then I go out and undertake the community consultation in a proper, orderly time manner, and not try and squeeze it into 1 or 2 weeks.
Can I, yes, Deputy Mayor?
So can I just ask, and just for clarity, if we move the motion as per the book, it will come back to us after the community consultation, correct? We don't need to put that as a point 4. It will come back to us after the community consultation.
Correct. It has to.
Thank you.
So Councillor Green, can I ask you, do you know when the next meeting of the Aboriginal Consultative Committee is? Because I'm just thinking that to our First Nations people, they're very keen on have a keen interest on our waterways and creeks as a very part of their culture. And I'm just thinking, well, what would their views on this issue be? Sorry, can you put your mic on, please?
Sorry. Through the chair, I think, to the director, I think we did have recently had a meeting, but we could always call an extraordinary meeting, is my understanding.
Maybe that's something you want to do before the next council meeting, because it's to get their feedback on the issue.
Yep.
All right.
We should do that.
I think we've exhausted. Yeah. Do you want to? Sorry, can you put your microphone on, Councillor?
Yep, sorry about that. So include their report back to council. And if what Councillor Harl is saying, after the community consultation, of course, if what Councillor Harl is correct, it'll be picked up in that report.
Sorry, say that again, please.
So in the first recommendation of council, if we were to put in the other point, you haven't actually said that you were going to give a report back on the community consultation.
I think Councillor Muniz has withdrawn his motion, which is the recommendation.
So that's no longer there.
But Councillor, when we talk about going to the community consultation, it is always a given that we bring it back to you. We can't undertake a consultation and not bring back the report to you. And
sorry, with all due respect to consultation, this is in the agenda now. This report's in the agenda. It's now been in the agenda for a second month. I'm sure for those who are very interested, particularly maybe Councillor Harl, want to post this on the Facebook pages and get people's opinion, get them to provide some feedback. It's a good way to get it in there.
I know we're almost done with this, but if we're coming back next month, may we, as a member of the Georges Riverkeeper, seek their opinion on what?
Who, sorry?
As a member of the Georges Riverkeeper Committee, could we not seek their opinion on this matter as well, if we're coming back with opinions?
I think that's very good as well.
Are we coming back next month?
We're coming back next month. That's the condition of Councillor Moon withdrawing his thing.
On point 1, could we add where it says if the mover and seconder are okay with that, Sorry, I just need it to come down a little bit. Point 1, where it says defer the implementation of this report for 1 month or until the October meeting, something like that, so we know it's just that month.
So you were saying make sure, what exactly the word is the wording,
So,
Council?
after defers the implementation.
Can you put your microphone on, please?
Defer, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read it.
Oh.
Defer the implementation of the report, if we could add the words there, until the October meeting. Or for 1 month, I don't mind either.
With the report to come back at the October meeting.
Yes.
Yep. Is the mover and seconder happy with that?
Sorry, I don't see what you're achieving here.
What Council? I think what the view is, Council Harrell, you brought up all these issues. You asked for the matter to be deferred, and the Council is saying defer, but we want the report to come back next month. Council.
I would like councillors to be aware of the implication of what you're voting on.
Yeah, 100%. So they're saying, but it has to come back next month as not to draw this on because it's already been deferred once. There was already a briefing on it 2-3 months ago. The staff have a job to do, and we're already, we need to move.
Mr. Mayor, just to make it easy for my colleague, Councillor, defer it for next council meeting and direct the CEO to organize a site tour.
Yep. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, you don't have to visit all those sites. They were just examples.
Just examples.
Yep.
So, okay, so we're at a point, ultimately saying defer to the next council meeting and council organize a viewing of relevant sites as per the above. Cool. Mover happy? Seconder happy? I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Can we have the motion fixed up, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, it's being fixed.
It's not being fixed yet.
Against, I declare the motion carried. Thank you.
Can I be declared as voting against? Channeling my Jeff Shelton.
All right. Let's now go through confidential booklets, please. All right. Confo 1, page 130, 1341.
Happy to move.
Yep.
Move
Sorry,
counts.
can we move into... are we closed? No, we're not.
No, we're not in closed session. What would you like to move in closed session? Let's do the ones that don't have to be in closed session.
I'd like to do this one in closed.
Mm-hmm.
6, 7.
So 1 enclosed, 2 enclosed. Anything else?
Hold on, let me go through them just to see whether I can get away with them.
Because
Eight.
8 enclosed.
10.
10 enclosed.
6, 7, 6.
And what? Sorry, just I'm checking 6 and 7.
They put them all in closed.
Yeah, put 6 and 7 in just to be safe.
So I have a motion that we move into closed session, and we'll deal with the whole confidential booklet. It seems under closed session.
Makes sense. Yep.
Move Councillor Haggerty, seconded Councillor Green. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Thank you, everyone. Could I please ask members of the public to feel free to have a cup of tea whilst we continue through the agenda, and you feel free to join us at the end of the council meeting. And for any of those in the public, thank you very much. But we will we are moving into closed section under Section 10A2A of the Local Government Act because it contains personnel matters that other than councillors that could be cause them a detriment, and under Section 10A2DI of the Act because it contains commercial information which if disclosed would confer a commercial advantage to others on there. Move that way. Seconded. Councillor Moon, any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare carried. So can someone please open the doors? Get the live streaming back on.
Mr Mayor, there were changes in that, in the minutes of the, so could that read, we endorse the minutes of the Civic Advisory Committee meeting, and the amendments that were made to the minutes?
Yeah, that would happen. That happens. It doesn't negate itself. It's not moving them. Yeah, it's not inconsistent with what they call it, with what we did, because we already moved.
No, he's talking about the different
Yeah.
thing. Doesn't matter, I'll go over.
Yeah, cool. All right, thank you, everyone. We're in open. Do I need to read back? Do I have to now read back every single resolution that we did in closed session? Thank you, everyone. We're now back in open session. Can we go back to the top so I can read out the readout? Are we there? Yep, great. Thank you. On the Conf 01, Council resolved that Council objected Council being involved in the appointment of independent community representatives to the Liverpool Planning Panel. 2, delegate to the CEO the appointment of independent planning committee representatives Liverpool Planning Panel. On being put, the motion was carried. Next item. Conf 02, that Council endorsed the awards recipients as recommended by the Civic Advisory Committee at its meeting 17th of August 23. Amend the policy to charter to allow the people who work, volunteer, or serve the City of Liverpool to qualify for these awards. 3, undertake proper checks. 4, review the process to ensure that it's a more appropriate one. 5, that the nominees that have been excluded be considered on the above. 6, if a member of the committee nominates someone, they should not be scoring or voting on the award. 7, when nomination made, that is stipulated the award they are being nominated for. 8, 2 of the candidates being recommended for the member of Liverpool awards are ordinary as they don't live in Liverpool. 9, a report come back to council with updated policy and charter. On being put, the motion was carried. Conf 03, 1, notes the concept report. 2, declines the fee proposal from Park Transit. And 3, does not include surge pricing. On being put, the motion was carried. Conf 04, 1, note that the inspection report by Fire New South Wales as shown in attachment 1. 2, not exercise the power to issue a safety order, this time to address identified safety deficiencies of 46 Brown Parade Warwick Farm. The deficiencies are instead to be addressed by sending a corrective action letter to the owners. These include rectifying minor defects of the fire hydrant system, final exit gate, lightweight construction overdue, AFSS. On being put, the motion was carried. Conf 05, the council purchased lot 25 DP 1249950 Winterhead Street, also for the price and terms outlined in this report. 2, upon settlement, classifies lot 25 DP 1299950 as operational land. 3, keeps confidential this report pursuant to the provisions of Section 10A2C of the Law Government Act 1993, as this information would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a person to whom with council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. And 4, authorizes CEO or delegate to execute any documents necessary to give effect to this decision. On being put, the motion was carried. Next item is Conf 06. 1, council receives a notice report. 2, investigate an extra pickup for the Christmas season, report to the next council meeting. 3, investigate the frequency of pickups in Liverpool CBD and report back to the next council meeting on ibis birds. On being put, the motion was carried. Conf 07. 1, that council resolved that council acknowledges report. 2, that the council delegate or the CEO entered negotiations around a service agreement with interested councils. 3, note that the agreed service charge will be included as part of the fees and charges setting process for 24-25. And 4, that the council delegate to the CEO or delegate to investigate proposed options around the financing and funding range for the project and report back to council. On being put, the motion was carried. Conf 08. That council, 1, accept the tender from Lamotna Sports Australia. Yeah, let's skip that. Accept the tender from Lamotna Sports Australia for tender WT 3265 Hammondville Park Synthetic Turf Soccer Oval for portions 1, 3, 4, 5, and 9 for an initial term of 42 weeks. 16 weeks construction program, 26 defects and liability period, and at the GST includes a price of 2.621191. 2, make public a decision regarding tender WT 3265 Hammondville Park Synthetic Turf Soccer Oval. 3, notes that the Chief Executive will finalise all details and sign a letter of acceptance for the tender, giving it contractual effect in accordance with delegated authority. 4, keeps confidential the details supplied in this report containing information on the submissions received pursuant to the provisions of Section 10A2DI of the Local Government Act 1993, as it contains commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it. On being put, the motion was carried. Conf 09, the council purchase lot 1 DP 125793162 Kelly Street, Ulster, for the price and terms as outlined in this report. 2, upon settlement, classifies lot 1 DP 1257931 as community land. 3, keeps confidential this report pursuant to the provisions of Section 10A2C of the Local Government Act 1993, as this information would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a person with whom council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. And 4, authorize the CEO or delegate to execute any documents necessary to give effect to this decision. On being put, the motion was carried. Conf 10, that council agreed to contract the Australian Election Company to administer the elections of the council. 2, agree pursuant to Section 553I of the Local Government Act 1993 not to tender the contract to administer the elections of the council as, due to the following circumstances, a satisfactory result would not be achieved by inviting tenderers. 1, that council resolved on 1st March 2023 to engage a private provider. 2, there is only one private provider that can deliver the service. 3, authorize the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to take all steps necessary to implement these resolutions. 4, staff work with the Australian Election Company to negotiate any possible further savings. On being put, the motion was carried. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I now declare the council meeting officially closed. Thank you.
Goodbye.